What's up, Four Corners? We're live here with Desert Sports Live. It's Albert Velarde, Stephen Parks. We got a special show for you today. Typically, we do our hot mics on Wednesday. We got some pretty important people in studio in the garage with us today from Aztec High School, and we've actually been pretty pumped up about getting to sit down with the head coach for the Aztec Tigers. It's Coach Conley, and the athletic director, that's David Sweet, and some pretty important information to kind of discuss today, Stephen. But we've been pretty excited about sitting down with these two guys.
That's right. And I'm over here trying to watch social media so that if you guys have any questions, I can put those out there. But thank you guys for joining us this evening in the garage. Coach Conley finally made it to the garage.
Indeed. Happy to be here.
But no, we're excited. We got Sam over here working production. We only have one production guy tonight, so we're going to try to manage this all ourselves. But if you guys have any questions or anything, feel free to put them in the comments. I'm going to put them. I'm going to be watching YouTube here on my computer as well. Hopefully, I'll catch all that stuff. But
well, let's jump into it.
Yeah.
Hey, and we just want to put this out there. I mean, we know there's been a lot of things going around the community, a lot of different stories and stuff like that. If y'all want to ask questions, we absolutely welcome that. But please be respectful in doing such, as it's a public forum, and we have a lot of kids and people looking after through the things that we're watching. So let's just please keep that clean. But your questions are important if you want to send them in to us on Facebook as well as YouTube. But let's go ahead and get started with the athletic director and David Sweet. It's been a pretty long summer for you guys.
It has,
coming into this new season, and just a lot of wild, crazy stuff happening. I know that the main goal that we want to get at is let's move forward. Let's all come together and start moving forward. But some things you guys want to talk about, and the floor is yours. I mean, we're just here to facilitate. So take it over.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's been a lot of misconceptions, and so really kind of going back and understanding that pretty much every decision that's been made regarding football has been made in conjunction both with myself and Coach Conley, as well as communications with Lauren Laws and Jonathan Akery at Central Office, trying to make sure that we kind of attack this entire situation, not necessarily problem, but this entire situation that revolves around football right now as a unit, and kind of going back to...
And really quick,
yeah.
Lauren Laws is the superintendent for Aztec Municipal School District, and the other gentleman is who?
He's essentially the associate superintendent of human resources.
There you go. So for those of you not from Aztec, not familiar with those two, that's who he's speaking of. Go ahead. Sorry, didn't mean to.
But so essentially, we're really trying to make sure, and it's not just football, right? It's everything. Even communications with figuring out, okay, the logos, going back to the small things, and making sure that everything is in line to where, hey, it's one Aztec, right? We're all one team. It's not this team versus this team versus this team. It's one team. We're one Aztec. We really want to give that united front to where, if you're not a football kid, or you're not a wrestler, or you're not a baseball kid, or you're not a softball kid, or you don't play volleyball, right? It doesn't matter. You're all part of the same team. And so that's kind of where this starts, is making sure that everyone understands, as far as those fronts go, we have a united front when these conversations get made. Like, for instance, for those people who are not aware, we canceled the football scrimmage this year. That was a conversation that had been in the works probably about the week before the scrimmage, give or take. And even with speaking with some of the assistant coaches, there was no decision made until the week of the scrimmage, because I hadn't had a chance to talk to Coach Conley. And that was a conversation when I happened to be over at the middle school one day, and he finally got over to my office, and I asked him, I said, what do you want to do? This is your program, this is your team, here's what I think. We would have traveled 15 kids.
We would have took 15 upperclassmen to a 4-team scrimmage. So just imagine if we got one kid hurt in each game. So now we have 15. So now we're down to 12 kids.
No, it was the right decision. Absolutely.
But it was tough. And so when you're building a program, which is where we are, you have to make unpopular decisions, as a lot of parents do. You, as parents and as coaches and educators, you make unpopular decisions. So the part of the unpopular decision is everybody wanted us to take all of the freshmen. We couldn't have taken them all because they all aren't ready to play, number one. And when we travel, it's not a field trip. It's a business trip.
Right.
Okay, so we have to take the kids who are ready to take care of business so they don't get hurt. The great thing with us growing our young people up is that all summer we put them in varsity sevens to where they could get used to the speed of varsity. So now they're not getting hit by older and heavier guys, but they were able to get used to the speed, and they won several games, and they were able to build confidence. And then they compete with because we are one Aztec. And so I'm teaching them not to be afraid of guys who are older, the whole stigma in high school, he's a senior. And we have sophomore and freshmen that can go at the throat of a lot of upperclassmen. And teaching them how to do it with respect and to be safe and to be careful. And so we have to do that. And here's the other thing with the numbers with the freshmen. Because the community and the dynamic here is so different. When we were looking at, and we said we weren't going to play any freshmen, we had so many in the off season. We were like, yeah, we don't have to. Then we had a lot of upperclassmen playing baseball, wrestling, running track, and we just assumed that more would come out. And when more didn't, is when the conversation about, hey, listen, I need freshmen just to spell the guys that I have. I don't have to play them. But, you know, and that's what happened Friday night. You know, we actually, and I got to point out the progress. Last year, we didn't have a scrimmage, nor did we have a first game.
That's right.
This year, we had an inter-squad scrimmage, and we had a first game.
We got rained out.
Okay?
That's right.
Right, absolutely. So there's still progress in that, and that's what we have to focus on. They still got a first game, right? They got their first game, and guess what? They went into the season knowing who their coach was. So we have to understand what we're looking at. We're talking about the mindset and development of young people trying to build trust with strangers, and that's a huge thing for our community, regardless of what the record is, that our kids are getting it and they're not quitting on each other. So what you saw the first half of that game, we were never dominated. We moved it and just didn't score. The first half of that game was our scrimmage. We cleaned up the scrimmage at halftime, and then we dominated the game. We were always dominating it. We just weren't scoring. And then so when our kids settled down, they truly dominated, and it happened exactly how I told them it would happen, because that's all that was left. Hey, guys, we either have to score at the beginning of the fourth quarter, at the end of this third quarter, and then get us 14 points somehow in the fourth quarter. And they did it. They were resilient. It was amazing, an amazing team.
Yeah.
Team win. So I'm trying to, first in building a program, is to build young men the right way. I got to teach them to compete for a job. This is not playtime. You got to come and complete. You're a student athlete. It's not just about playing. We're beyond that. You did that in Little League. You did it in middle school. Here, you're so close to graduating, stepping out into the real world with the lack of mom and dad's protection. I have to have them ready for that. Football is my stick, my carrot and stick. That's all it is to get them around me so I can help them become productive citizens for Aztec, and wherever they go in the world, they put this place on the map. That's the priority. And so we are slowly trimming the fat and just getting it right for these young people, for football to be a safe haven, for football to be a place of comfort, and it is right now for a lot of our kids. A lot of our kids, it's their outlet, and so we want to make sure that it's a safe outlet where they're comfortable and they can grow and be better people, not just football players.
So I think, and going just kind of bouncing off that now, all that being said, I think one of the questions that we've heard is going forward now, what does that look like? Because I know that some of the freshmen got to come and play here. Do they still continue to get to play, some of those freshmen, or how does that look? That's one of the questions we're hearing in the community is, like, what does it look like going forward from here?
Like,
I'll touch on that.
You know, listen, life is about audibles. Baseball is your audible. Every sport has a, so whatever I tell you today, it can change.
Sure.
We didn't expect to have to play freshmen. You know, and all we're doing is taking the freshmen who are the closest to play and using them to spell more so on special teams than playing 11-man ball, because we still want them to grow and develop the right way. They got a 7-game season. I'll move them all up after they play 7 games. But we're trying to give them that experience and build confidence, and that's what the deal with with the number that we picked and why we didn't want to take all of them, because again, it's not a field trip, it's a business trip.
So
the original plan happened at the end of last year before we went to our 2 weeks of padded practice. They were in the off-season stuff. The original plan was to have two completely separate teams, a C team, freshman team, and a varsity. And essentially we want to go, okay, if we have a C team and a freshman team this year, right, we'll graduate the few seniors that we have, and we'll have now essentially juniors and sophomores and freshmen. Well, then, so again, you keep the varsity team for next year, and you keep the C team. And then the third year, as you move up that next group of 8th graders, now you have the potential to have 3 complete teams, where you have your C team, freshman team, that is comprised majorly of freshmen and a few sophomores that just need a little bit more development. Your JV team that is comprised of your higher level sophomores and your low level juniors, and then your varsity that has your highest performing kids. Not necessarily anything grade specific, obviously all the seniors, because they wouldn't be able to play the JV and the C team, but then all of your high performing sophomores and juniors. That was the original goal. And so then looking back, you know, there was, I think one of the conversations that I had been given was, well, why did you make this rash decision? We didn't make a rash decision. This was always the original intent, right? So then we came out, and if you guys didn't see my message on Facebook that I sent out, it was essentially, hey, we really want these freshmen to play at least a couple freshman games.
Yep.
Dip your feet in the water,
yep.
Right? Because it's a huge jump to go from a dominant 8th grade group, because that's what they were. They were a dominant 8th grade group, to Friday night football, varsity football. That is a huge jump. And so there was always the conversation of, okay, well, let's try and get their feet a little bit wet before we just throw them into a Friday night game. That was the original, well, I guess the second original plan. Yeah. And then we started having more conversations. Okay, what does Friday look like? Well, we had more kids come out, but man, they still don't have the required practices, right? So the NMA dictates for a traveling scrimmage, like what we would have gotten in Chinley, a player has to have 8 total practices, okay? And so practices are different than they used to. They're not counted by the number of practices, because back in the day when I was in school, right, you go to a morning practice, you go to an evening practice, and you have 2 practices. It's not counted that way now. It's counted by the day. So if you have 2 practices, it's still just 1 practice, because it's counted as days of practice, right? So now to have those 8 days of practice, well, shoot, you're talking about going to a scrimmage with, like I said, 3 other schools in a 4-team scrimmage, and you're going up against different styles, different defenses, different offenses. What is, I mean, yeah, obviously we'll gain something from it, but are we
we're sacrificing
in a situation where we could lose more than we gain?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Right. And here's my thing to it. I would have had to take our guys into a 4-team scrimmage against 3 head coaches who I don't know me, so they're not going to care about me or my kids. They're going to want their kids to be dominant, and it would be hard. It was tough Friday night for our guys to go both ways. So then to ask them to play 3 scrimmages against 3 different personalities, right? You see it, and you know, and it could be part of my fault. I've been quiet about it because my focus is the kids and building the program and not getting caught into the community drama and every parent that has something to say. It's because that's what it's going to be. I'm making unpopular decisions right now, and it's the best for their kids because we're building a program. I don't completely know what I have. I know what I see. Amazing kids working hard and building them, and we're building them up. We're building them up. So and that takes time. So David just told you, we feel in 3 years we would have 3 teams. So still, that's going to take time. And we never thought that we would have to use freshmen. We were going through the offseason, more freshmen was coming up, but the majority of the upperclassmen were playing other sports. So then the community is telling me, and my other coaches are like, hey, yeah, they'll just come out first day of practice. And then that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Okay, and then some started to come out, and then back to the days that you need. So if you start today and you don't come 2 days after that, you still only got 1 day and you need 10. So this is what's happening with kids. They're wanting to play football, but they're wanting to play it on their own time, and it's still affecting their teammates. You see, it's just the truth, and that's the part of the community that I can't coach. You know what I mean? I have to get them out there first, and so as we do that, sometimes, and that's leadership. I'm not bugging off of that. I'm supposed to fall on the sword, and I'm doing that the best that I can to make sure that the kids stay safe, and we build a program the right way, that our kids have the opportunity to be competitive and to be every game and build a program. They know that. And so we just have to make sure that we keep them patient along with the community, because it's going in the right direction.
Yeah.
So I have another question too, is so now that all of that's taking place, and we talked a little bit about it before we got on air, kids coming out now, if they would like to come out, they can still do that, correct?
Absolutely.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, but they just have to understand it affects when they play. If a kid comes out now, if he comes out tomorrow, he's not going to play Friday, and he might not play next week if he doesn't come every day. And this is the tough thing.
Because they still got to get those 8 practices.
Right.
So for a scrimmage, yes, but for a game, they have to have 10.
Okay.
They have to have 10 days. And so kind of understanding that part of it too, like we have kids that came out last week, and our coaches have been really good, really understanding of this day limit, right? And going, okay, we can have a practice on a Saturday and a Sunday. We can go out and we can do a practice with these kids that need practices so that we can get their days in, we can condition them, we can work through our stuff. Because it's not just like it's one kid, right? There's multiple kids. But we have a kid right now, they won't play on Friday because they missed one of those days, and they had to have that day. It was that situation where you have to be here every single day, and then he didn't show up for one, and the next thing you know, he didn't show up for 2. So now it's like, well, you got to sit for another week. It is what it is. You still have to be at practice. You still have to get those days in. Right. But now you're going to miss another game.
And then they get frustrated because they're not getting what they want.
It's their responsibility to make sure they're showing up to set practice. That changes the whole dynamic by going a day of practice instead of 2 a days, which I'd like to see them change that.
Right.
I know they change it for player safety because some coaches out there don't know how to reel things back. Not saying anybody that we know, but they're out there, with the 2 days. So let's rewind for people to get caught up with, and we got people all over the place listening, not just Aztec. So to kind of hit rewind on this, and honestly, I'm going to out myself. I was heavily against playing a ton of freshmen. Heavily against it, and I will out myself 100% right now. Under the precedence that we only had 6 to 8 upperclassmen, that was going to be tough. That was going to be tough to throw out every one of those freshmen out there. But now knowing that there's more, and hearing as along the way, you guys got more upperclassmen finally coming out, and all those things. When you step back and look at the whole scope, you're like, I don't know, man. I mean, that doesn't seem very safe. Mm-hmm. But what do I know? I'm standing on the sideline. Yep. And then knowing that more upperclassmen started coming out, and then you mixed in the proper freshmen, that you guys came to make that decision, and then everybody started stepping back saying, actually, that makes a lot of sense. That makes what's happening now, and from what I'm hearing from a lot of people, not everybody, that's obvious, but
you're hearing
in the community,
but
I've heard it from enough people that they're like, that was the right decision. Like that right there, what you guys did kind of changed the dynamic of everything, and people are, now they start, that trust factor starts rolling back in. They start believing in the process and the coaching staff and the athletic director and things that are coming together. But no lie, I mean, it was tough to kind of swallow at first, so let's go through that. So originally what was heard was you guys were going to build all these freshmen coming in. We're going to have a ton of upperclassmen coming in to play high school football. That didn't happen, okay? For whatever reason, we just didn't have a whole lot of upperclassmen come back out. So, but there was enough guys that were staying loyal to the process, loyal to the coaching staff, loyal to the team, and when what was going on. And so the freshmen started coming in. There was a whole conversation about how many we should we let all of them, or should we not, and just basically cancel the season, or however that looked. Mm-hmm. The decision came to, there's enough upperclassmen, we're going to mix in the right freshmen, and we're going to hit the ground running, and that's where we're at. Did I miss anything in between that?
Correct. That's the long and short of it is, We've taken the group that we have that is older and more developed, and then we're adding those key pieces of freshmen that are, again, our top performing freshmen, that they're not supposed to be the workhorses. They're supposed to come in and go, hey, you serve a significant and important role on the field for however many snaps you're on there, whether it's special teams, whether it's just as a quick sub so we can get this guy a breather. Maybe you are going to put in a few more reps in this game just because, hey, maybe you had a stellar few snaps and we're going to leave you in there for a few minutes, right? We're just trying to make sure, again, that we grow them the right way in a way that doesn't hurt them physically or mentally or scare them from the game of football and keep them from coming out.
And here's the thing, nobody ever asked me. So to assume that we were going to play all the freshmen was, that was never the case. But we have freshmen, and I only asked for 10. We had 19 upperclassmen. I only asked for 10. I never asked to bring them all. That was an initial want. But again, traveling is business trips. It's not field trips. So it doesn't make any sense to bring them all, and then they're going to want to play, and they can't. And then I have to listen to that all night because it's not about playing. That game was always close enough to where we had to play our best competitors, okay? And they weren't playing. They were fighting for a win, okay? So that's two totally different things, and trying to establish that. I never banked on the freshmen. It wasn't a conversation until it was, right? You don't just borrow money from him. It's not going to be a conversation until it's a conversation. So when it was a conversation that, look, nobody's coming out, I'm going to need freshmen. I'm not telling you I need them to survive, but I need to spell my guys, right? I need them to spell my guys. I don't need Lorenzo running the ball 20 times for almost 200 yards and still having to play special teams. It took a lot out of him playing defense, and good for our guys that they got that win and sideline presence. Come on, guys. You look over and see 6 guys on the sideline, I know we whooping y'all. I don't care how good you are, you're going to run out of gas because too many of them got to go both ways. So see, this is what it was. And out of the 10 freshmen we took, we only played 5.
Well,
and didn't have to do that. So watch this. If Terry Ellis doesn't get hurt, then we wouldn't even have to play young Dixon as much as we did. You see what I'm saying? So it wasn't like it was by design. There's a lot of misunderstandings before a lot of people got the opportunity to speak. And it's not that the community was wrong for feeling that way. Maybe we didn't do a good job as communicating as we did. And I know we didn't. And sometimes the lack of proper communication kills a lot of things. It kills relationships, it kills marriages, and it kills trust. And so I'm just first trying to establish it with myself and the men that I'm asking to do tough things every day, day in and day out, and on Friday night for one another, and slowly build the community, the football community, the right way. And guess what? It's going to be different. You know, I keep hearing it's been this way for 7 years. It's been this way. Hey, when change happens, it happens. None of us look like we used to when we were in high school, except the change. So, and we're not. So accept the change. I wasn't here 7 years ago. Now was I? Right. So me and my personality and all my experiences, it's going to move different. And I spent a year, and I understand what these young men need. So I'm not focused on what everybody else thinks. I've spent a year with them, and we're providing them with what they need to be successful, to feel good about themselves and what they do every day. That's building a program. And for those who returned, to feel good that I kept my promise that I would come back. Despite how difficult that I found the community in doing this job, I kept my promise, and it made a difference to our young men. I never came here to quit on them. We're trying to do it the right way, and doing that comes with a lot of unpopular decisions. But they're right, and the thought is the safety and the well-being of our young men and women in Aztec, and that's it, and I won't apologize for that. Every move that I do is going to be for their safety first. Football is my carrot, again, to build amazing men and women, and that's what it's going to be, and I'm not going to change from that, and we're going to win games in the middle of that. But for me to win a lot of games, I got to build good men first. Right? You build good football players, they quit on you, they do all kinds of things, they give up, and because they're not good men. So we're building the men first. They don't give up on each other. They got irritated in the first half, and they cut that. At halftime, they remembered who they were, and we saw the results of that, and they played hard. And as a community and as a coaching staff, we are thrilled for what our young men accomplished together when we went to Albuquerque Friday.
Well, they finally got that win. They didn't get one win last year, so they've already gotten over that hump, and now, we get to come call the game this next Friday, and we're pretty excited to see how they're going to play. But all that being said, we came out to the scrimmage that night, and we saw the 8th graders practicing before. Aztec has a lot of potential coming up the pipe. As far as football players and good kids, and we saw that. And I think I like that you pointed out the communication thing, because that's where there was a lot of miscommunication that was happening, and that's why when David asked us to do this, we were absolutely okay with that, because we want the community to know what's going on as well, but we also And I keep telling Albert, I just want to see people come and sit in the stands and support the kids. That's my personal opinion, and I tell that Albert all the time. These kids just need people to come and cheer them on, and that's what I would like to see. So my encouragement to everybody out there is we're in the season now. Let's move forward, and I understand things have went the way they've went, but it's time to move forward and just come and support these young men. They got to win on Friday night. They're excited. They're pumped up. Come and watch them play on Friday. Come and watch them go for that second win. And they have the potential to do that. So
and on that note, and I'm glad you brought that up too, Stephen, and you as well, Coach. It's one thing that Stephen and I tell people this all the freaking time. If you had any questions, reach out and have a conversation. Because I've never ever not known David to say, "Hey, I need to sit down with you." And he doesn't sit down with you, and so I want to put that out to the public too, that if there's misconceptions about different things or you have conversations or whatnot, it's easy to get caught up in this and that and that and this and saying this and the thoughts about that, and everybody's going to have their thoughts and everybody's going to have their opinion,
and you know what, brother?
Whether you like it or him or me, or it doesn't matter. Everybody's going to have an opinion about something. The one thing I will say, and you guys out there can say whatever you want to, but anytime I've ever had questions with David and I've ever asked to sit down with him or call him or give me a call back, let's have a talk, it's always happened. It may not be right then and there, but it was always something scheduled. So, for those of you who have further questions about this decision, and it is the right decision. What happened right now, putting the 10 freshmen and then bumping them up later on, that was the right decision. I'm behind that 1,000%. I'll talk that, I'll preach that till the day I walk away. Obviously keeping the kids healthy, that's going to be a big thing about that. But David, Coach Conley said this, I think at least 10 times already. It was not an easy decision, and dig into that a little bit and some of the messages that you want to put out there.
For when it started, obviously we had the conversation, and that was a conversation that we had discussed kind of when he came on. Hey, we're going to have to grow this program eventually. And then as we got through that first year that he took over, we really sat down and said, okay, we have to have 2 teams. We have to start with 2 teams, because if we don't have 2 teams, we're just going to get in this vicious cycle of this huge group of freshmen moving up from 8th grade to varsity Friday night and struggling because they're not there physically, they're not there mentally. Football is a taxing game, and not just physically. You have to learn how to have grit. You have to learn how, when your back is against the wall, you got to be able to push back. And that comes with time. I consider myself a pretty large person physically, and I didn't play more than a couple games as a freshman on a state championship team, right? We didn't move up. You didn't just come up because you were a freshman. You had it wasn't even a C team. It was a freshman team. And, I sit there and I look back at that experience and the things that I learned from those coaches, and they were some of my favorite coaches. But I'd have never been the varsity player I was if I didn't have that year as a freshman, and then that next year as a JV varsity splitter. I'd have never become the player that I was. I'd have never gone to college to play football. It wasn't going to happen. I didn't have the development if I didn't have that. And a lot of that time was spent in the weight room. A lot of that time was spent on conditioning, and a lot of that time was spent on mental toughness. I had a coach when I was a freshman. His name was Robert Hyder. I loved Coach Hyder, and he was the funniest man I think I've ever known, one of them. And every Friday, he was a suspender person. He always wore suspenders, and every Friday he'd wear a belt. And he would give us what was called learning opportunities. And he would ask us a question that he knew we wouldn't know. Something personal. What was his mother's name? What was his first love's name? And he'd ask us these questions to wait and see if we were patient enough for him to give us the answer. And every week, without a doubt, someone would say something. And we never once got the answer right. And every week we did something for it. Not because we got the answer wrong, but because we didn't have the patience to wait for him to give us the answer. Football is a game of patience. You're not going to have it right off the bat. You're not going to be, I can't believe I'm saying this, right? You're not going to be the state champions right off the bat, right? Bloomfield's got a phenomenal program right now. They weren't state champions right off the bat. They built up to it. It's the same thing. You want to be a state champion, right? You got to start from the bottom. You got to build that freshman team and make sure they have success as they go up to the varsity level the next year, or even that year if they choose to move up. And then the next year, you want to bring those 8th graders up. You want them to have success as freshmen, and then take that into the varsity. I've had some really interesting conversations with some of our wrestlers and our baseball kids and some of our basketball kids, trying to get them to come out. And a lot of times, well, why would we want to go out? Football did terrible last year. Football did, and I give our props to wrestling. Wrestling gets props where they earned it. They won state. That was a great season for our wrestling team. And so here was the message that I gave to all those wrestlers. How much do you think it would impact a team that had a struggling year to take your winning wrestling mentality and supplant it and build a unified culture? How much do you think that would make the football team better? Wouldn't it be cool to leave your high school and go, hey, look at my state wrestling ring. Oh, also look at my state football ring. That's one of the coolest feelings ever. Multiple state rings, absolutely, and not just for one sport. We were talking before, I told you about my parent meeting, right? So I put this slide together, and it was a slide all dedicated to, you were there, you remember, it was a slide dedicated to scholarships. And a slide dedicated to professional multi-sport athletes. Mm-hmm. To show kids, if you're going to tell me that the most successful athletes in the world preach and live and die by multi-sport, and that it made them better because it helped them learn skills that their main sport didn't necessarily teach them, but those skills made them better at the skills they needed to be successful, right? Mason Paris, I think, is the wrestler. Might be Michael Paris. It's one of the two. His last name is Paris. He was named 2023 NCAA most dominant wrestler of all time from Michigan, heavyweight. He walked on to the NFL on the Chargers, I think either this last year or the year before that. I've played football before. Why not? Why not give it a try? And then he put out an Instagram post, and I think this was maybe this year, of how much he appreciated the game of football because it gave him a new love for wrestling. And then he went on and he won a gold medal in wrestling. And Tom Brady, 3-sport athlete. Scotty Scheffler, 2-sport athlete. New York Yankees Hall of Famer, pitcher. I don't know if you guys are a Yankees fan. 3-sport athletes. I'm not either. I'm a Red Sox fan, but
Michael Jordan, Allen Iverson.
Michael Jordan, Allen Iverson.
Lemons, yeah.
You know.
The list goes on.
Kansas City. What's his name? Mahomes.
And here's the thing. I want to say something about the bad season, because again, I'm more concerned about the young men than I am the football. And all of us in here got rings on. And you're not going to tell me that you don't go through a bad season in your marriage and in life, and you still get on your horse and you get up and you go on, and everybody's just stuck on the bad season. I wouldn't know how amazing my wife is if I gave up every time we had a bad season. You have bad season in marriages. You have bad season in the workplace. So then when I hear people say, I know this generation has everything, but they don't know anything. I know the Cowboys went 1-15 and won 2 Super Bowls the very next year. That's what I know. So they had a bad season and then somehow got it together. That was a bad season, and this year isn't going to be like that. I knew that from the beginning, but I'm not, and I didn't sell that, because football isn't the game that I can beg you to play. because you're going to get hit in the mouth. And all of you have been hit in the mouth by your wife, not even physically. They've said things that felt like a punch in the mouth. Right? And you still have to get up, manage that, go on, be a better man, raise your kids, go on with life, and push through those traumas. And that's what this is about. Do you want to see it better? Because it's not just football. So when we're moving them to Bloomfield because Aztec is bad, all you're doing is teaching them, okay, your marriage ain't working, leave her and try it with somebody else. What are we saying? We're not teaching our kids to be patient and sit and push and do everything that you can to make that situation better. You don't quit. Where do we start teaching them that? We wait until they graduate? We let the internet do it? Because this is what it sounds like. Because this is what I'm talking about. I want to see them successful husbands and fathers. Football was a small part of my life. Amazing, but still small. And I understand the value. I understand the value about how they're going to vote. And all that has to do with how we raise them and what type of Americans that we're pushing them to be. Because they're not always going to be ours. They're going to leave the nest. And we have to prepare them for that. And we have to prepare them to push through bad and ugly seasons. And so that's where we are. We're pushing through last year from a bad and ugly season. We've already got one win. We're just focused on getting better. Then we'll win everyone that we deserve and everyone that they continue to fight for. And I'm already proud of them, regardless if we don't win another one. They are working harder, and they're much better than they were last year. And they perform better. They play well together. They love on the young kids. Well, they're all one Aztec, the way I want them to be. I don't want our young kids feeling intimidated. You know you're a freshman, and they're supposed to bring you along right. And we're doing that. We don't pick on freshmen. We don't haze. I'm not dealing with any of that. Anybody that wears black, orange, and white is the same. And we're supposed to be leaving the place better than we found it. So we can't pick on our young people. And they don't do that. They do an amazing job of building each other up. And that's why I'm excited about the future. I don't have a lot to talk about it. I'm focused on building. I'm about work and not hype and anything else. And pushing my coaches to make sure our young people are prepared.
You know what I love about all of that? We won a state championship my senior year in soccer. Like we won the state championship. The year before, we lost our coach that pushed us, that drove us, he made us do 3-a-days. He made us puke at practice in the middle of the day, and we loved that guy. We would go into battle for that guy, and we lost him. We got third place my junior year, and we lost that guy. And despite any of those circumstances, that next year, that team, the guys on that team took charge, and we went and won a state championship because it didn't matter who our coach was. It was because, and you know what else? Some of the main leaders on that team were the wrestlers. I remember driving to the state championship. Ricky Adair, who is a coach at PV right now, made us all sit on that bus, and we had to listen to this music, and we had to be quiet, and we had to focus. But I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like everything you just said, I experienced that in my high school experience. I mean, we did. We got punched in the mouth, and we came right back, and we ended up winning a state championship that next year. So you're right. It's not about focusing on the bad season. It's about where are we going to go from here. And I've told Albert this. I said why I'm so proud of those seniors is that they're willing to stick it out, and they're willing to say, I'm going to be the foundation for the next season of this team. They didn't walk away. These ones didn't walk away and say, I don't want to play. We had a bad season last year. They love the game and they want to play, and they're there for their teammates. They're there for the young kids, and they're saying, we're going to do this. We're going to do this regardless if this is our last season or not. There's kids coming up behind us that we want to do this for. And that's what I appreciate the most about the seniors that are there this year. And I was, you can ask Albert, I was so pumped when Ben texted us and he's like, they just won, yes, I was so pumped, and I'm excited. I'm excited to watch them play this weekend.
Too.
David, any final thoughts?
Man, push your kids to play sports. And this is not even football specific. Just push them to play sports, because it's a reflection of life. There's so many life lessons that you get from sports. It's not easy. It's not something that's just given to them. It's something they have to earn. And I don't know about you guys, but man, when I was a kid and I worked those long summers and I dug holes, and football was a reward in and of itself, but then the rewards in life are that much sweeter, right? When you earn things, they're that much better for whatever reason, right? It's like the ice cream on a hot day situation.
Yeah.
It just makes that much more of a difference in your life. You appreciate things that much more when you work for them, right? When you got to go and paint the lines on your football field, or your team has to go and prep the baseball field, right? That field means more to those boys now. Those boys go and set up the line markers. That field means more. They put their blood, sweat, and tears into it, right? Push your kids to do sports. Push your kids to do multiple sports, because it's only going to help them in the long run.
Absolutely. Coach, any final thoughts?
No, I'm just excited, and I'm just going to continue to roll up my sleeves and work and push these men to be the best that they can be and love on this community and meet them where they are. But things are different because my mindset's different, and it's supposed to be, but it's not hurting our young people. It's preparing them for their future to the best of our ability by using the game of football. And the truth is, we have some amazing coaches at Aztec, but I guarantee you this, that 2.5 hours with me is some of the best parts of our young people's life. You know what I mean? Because we love on them. You know, and so that's what it's about, regardless. Maybe not the way some of our parents love on them, because some of our parents don't discipline. We discipline. And so, and because the world's going to discipline.
Yeah.
You know, and so they need to be prepared for it. It shouldn't be the first time after they leave mom and dad, and you can't protect them from everything. So I'm preparing them to deal with everything and understand that things have consequences and using football for that. But we're excited, and we're going to keep focusing on winning games. We're definitely going to compete. That's what I expect them to do, and give themselves a chance and not quit on each other and give up on each other and just be better than they were the last week, the last practice, and every rep. And they're working on that, and they're doing that. So I'm excited. I don't have the apprehension that our community does. But let me tell you this. I do understand why athletics and football specifically has been toxic. And it's hard to trust. So let's not pretend. So again, I'm making unpopular decisions, and I'm willing to sit in the seat and build the trust. You know, and I'm an open book. So I'm willing. I understand what I inherited. I completely understand that now. You know, to the place where I'm not sure if I did that I would have did what I did if I would have understood it at the time. But I'm here. And I'm not a coward, and I'm not running, and I made a commitment to the community to build a program, and that's what I'm doing. End of sentence. And we're doing it the right way, and I'm excited about it. I really am. You can't tell because I'm beyond that, man. I've coached at every level. I've played at every level. It's not my turn. It's not about Spencer Conley. If all my experience don't make these young men better, it's you know, you know what I mean? It's not impressive to me. So I'm focused on maxing out every opportunity to find everything that makes every young man a part of this program better. Not just the good ones, all of them. We got amazing chess players that play football. You know, I got kids. My kids are teaching me chess. We got kids that do a whole lot of things. I'm interested in everything they do. Brody Brown dirt bikes, and so does Parker. You know, I'm interested in everything that they do. I don't care what it is. Football is one part of their life. Being a student is another part of their life, and they have other things that they're interested in. And so we're just focused on trying to teach our kids to keep all of their commitments. If you're committed to this, keep it. Keep it, because it's tough in marriage. We don't have to lie. Everybody wanted to put down the torch at one time or the other, no matter how we sit and pretend, but we don't, right? It's always a reason why to quit. It's just never a good one, and that's where we are. I'm not quitting. I'm not allowing our kids to quit, and the community is going to get to know me as much as they want, because I'm not going anywhere.
You know, that's a great message, Coach. A close family friend of mine in Stevens, I won't say his name out there because some people may think it sounds tough, but I'll never forget when he told me when we were younger playing baseball, his son and myself were really close, and then his younger son and my little brother were really close. But he always said, you know, Albert, I don't want my kids to do the best that they absolutely can. I expect my kids to do the absolute best that they can without any excuses, and I've never forgot that. He told me that probably when I was about 15 years old, and I've remembered it to this day. Wow. Any final words from you, Stephen?
No, I just appreciate you guys coming in and saying what you needed to say. And my encouragement to you guys, and Albert said a little bit earlier, if you have any questions, call Mr. Sweet, right? Am I right? Call Mr. Sweet and ask him. Don't do the whole hear it through the grapevine thing. And, and trust us, we hear a lot of what's going on in the community as well. But just give David a call. Ask him about it. Talk to him about it. Talk to these guys about it. Find out what's going on, and let's squash whatever it needs to be squashed right now, and do what's best for these kids. And that's my heart for them. And I appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate
Absolutely.
people that tuned in and watched. And I hope that it was informative and it's what you guys needed to hear. If there's anything else, call them
Or
Talk to
email them.
whatever you need to do.
Absolutely.
But that's what our platform is for. We just want to help the kids, the community, and we appreciate you guys being here.
Yeah, and I'm going to own another piece of it myself. And I know this goes out for a lot of people out there, and I'll talk to you heart to heart for a minute. Is just take a step back, slow down. You got a lot of things going through your mind. You're hearing a lot of stuff from a lot of people. I didn't take my own advice there for a moment, and sit down and have conversations with somebody, but I should have. I didn't. I felt a certain way about a lot of things. Some of them I may still feel the same way about it, but hey, I think in the end of the things is we all need to take a step back, find out what the situation is happening, and then just make a very educated decision and get behind these people that are making these tough decisions, because you know what? Nobody else is having to do it, but they are. And, I think right now is the best thing to do is, which was I was telling these gentlemen earlier, is to get behind them 1,000% and move forward and just support our kids, support these parents, these coaches, and these coaches are parents, the athletic director, the superintendent, the teachers, all of them. I mean, at some point, Stephen, we got to come together. I mean, that's just the bottom line of it. At some point, all of us just have to come together. I don't know if you guys knew this, but a number of Bloomfield people came out to support the team at your scrimmage.
I saw them.
At your scrimmage.
I saw them.
They showed up just to be there for the kids and be there for the community and stuff. And that's the kind of community that we have here. So, hey, we appreciate what you guys are doing. You made some very tough decisions, but in the end, it's the right decision. And now it's just time to move forward and keep moving forward. And instead of reacting, let's take a step back. Let's slow down for just a moment, and let's start reaching out to the right people and asking the right questions. And if they don't have the answers to it, then let's just keep pushing and figure out to who the next person is to get that question answered. And let's just come together. So, hey, thanks for rocking out with Desert Sports Live here at Hot Mic. Coach Conley, the athletic director, David Sweet. Love the message that's out there. And we hope you guys do too. And we pray that you guys get behind our children, our kids in this community, because I know we are for darn sure.
You got amazing kids. There's amazing kids in this community.
Thanks for rocking out with Desert Sports Live. God bless, and we're out.
Appreciate it.